Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. So the question is, with Tyson Fury and the fact that he's been able to dominate, in each of his fights, and although he's retired, many believe, and I definitely believe, that if Tyson Fury was to continue fighting, he would continue to dominate and remain undefeated, unless he chose to fight small. That being said, should there be a size limit on boxers? Should they really separate the heavyweights to heavyweight and super heavyweight? Because Larry Holmes feels that boxers are just way too big right now. And although he says it jokingly, that's an argument to be had. There was a time where, I'd have to do the research on that, right? But there were weight classes, and I think super heavyweight was a weight class, and that no longer really exists. And I can't remember why they took it away, but they took it away. But there definitely was a time where guys who were like 240, 250, 260 were considered super heavyweights. But I think there was an issue with matchmaking because just weren't really getting the fights necessary. So they did away with super heavyweight, just heavyweights, which opened up a whole lot. But when you look at a guy like Tyson Fury, who's 6'9", Anthony Joshua 6'6", 6'7", Deontay Wilder 6'6", 6'7", and you look at how they, for the most part, are dominating, right? And Joshua's had his ups and downs, but for the most part, anyone they get in the ring with, they're going to have an advantage if they fight using their height and their reach, and the boys have power. But is that fair? Should they really have another division? So recently the WBC instituted the bridgeweight, okay? So that's to kind of cater to smaller heavyweights. But should they reinstitute the super heavyweight? Or if not, should there be a size limit? Say, no, you can't be this tall to box. You can't weigh X amount to box. It sounds funny, but I mean that's a serious question. I can see that really being a topic and that getting entertained. I think that's fair to put on the table and say, hey, let's take a look at this. Guys, if you get somebody with the skill set of Tyson Fury, with his height, his reach, and power, got to give him credit for power. Is it fair to those other opponents? Or should we blame Tyson Fury for the way he was born and the sport that he fell in love with, whether his father pushed it on him or not? You just can't fault him for that. And although Larry Holmes is joking about it, I think there's some people who may feel that way. But at the same time, if we're going to try to take away someone's advantage because of something they were born with, and we're talking about height and weight, well, let's start taking away the advantage of that some of the shorter guys have, being able to fight in close and win fights and fighting in close. David Haye and Valuev, good example. Small David Haye almost knocked that giant out. Little Pacquiao. Those guys, when you talk about the speed advantage, so do we now say guys with super fast hands can't fight as heavyweights? Mike Tyson, So when you start looking at the speed advantage, or his height, or his reach, or his weight, where do we stop? Are we just going to attack the big guys? Or are we going to stop? Because if we're talking about advantages, it just depends on who can impose their style in the ring. Larry Holmes even went on to say that he felt in his era, from the 70s up through the 80s, they had the better fighters. And you had to beat those fighters to get your name recognized. And he's saying right now that's not the case. You don't have everybody fighting everyone. A guy will come out and maybe have a dominant performance over maybe 1 out of 10 or 11 names, and now he's labeled as the greatest of this era. When actually he is a great fighter, but he hasn't fought enough people. Now that's something that, at least on my channel and reading in the comments, a lot of people are saying that. They feel that Fury is the greatest right now. For this era, he beats everyone. But he's only fought Klitschko, and he's only fought Wilder. And Dillian White now. It's 3 names. When you have AJ, you have Usyk. I don't know if he needs to fight Brazil and those other guys, but he has to get in there with AJ and Usyk. Okay? But he still will be the favorite to win because of those things that Larry Holmes is mentioning. But Deontay Wilder, the same thing. No matter what Deontay Wilder does, he's in the history books for his power. Like, there's no question about Deontay Wilder's power. One of the hardest hitter, if not the one shot, one hitter quitter. It's hard to manufacture that. But as far as his legacy as being a great heavyweight fighter, he's great. But you got to fight more people. So far, Deontay Wilder, he fought Luis Ortiz. We'll give him credit for Ortiz. Stavern was in his prime. Stavern looked good when he fought Areola. The Brazils, I don't know, but really I'll give him credit for Ortiz. And then, what's his name? Tyson Fury. And he fought Ortiz twice, Tyson Fury. But, the Brazils, the Spilkas, the Gerald Washingtons, I don't think you really give him that kind of credit. So Deontay Wilder has 2 big names, and he needs to get in there with AJ. He needs to get in there with Dillian White. He needs to get in there with Usyk. All these guys need each other. Just like in the welterweight division, Spence, Thurman, Danny Garcia, Terrence Crawford, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, who's retired now. Yeah, Spence, Thurman, Garcia, Porter, and Crawford. Those 5 have to mix it up. Now you got the Ennis, the Stanionis, you got the other guys coming up. Talented fighters, man. But those 5, they have to all mix it up. Out of all of them, Danny Garcia has gotten busy with everyone. Everyone. Danny Garcia has fought Thurman, Porter. He's fought Crawford. He's fought Spence. Danny Garcia has fought everyone but himself. So that's what we need. That's why Danny Garcia, although he struggled in some of those fights, he didn't get washed. But Danny Garcia can fight. He's in the history books. Like, that's what you need to do, win, lose, or draw. Nobody has anything bad to say about Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia will fight. He's coming out to bang. And that's what you need in these heavyweights. But at the same time, you got to give the edge to a guy like Tyson Fury, to Wilder, unless they fight small. And that's where AJ went wrong. And his first fight with Andy Ruiz, stayed in the pocket too long, fighting small, should have kept it long. Go out for groceries, come on back to the house. He went out for groceries, then went for a coffee, then went and got a bagel, and next thing you know, he got his ass robbed of his titles. Get back home where you're safe. And now he did the same thing with Usyk. I think trying to prove a point that I'm an Olympic gold medalist and I can box too, and I'm going to outbox the boxer. Negative. Wrong idea. Did not work out so well for Mr. AJ. So, again, going back into this fight with Ruiz, he decided to fight tall and long. Go out for those groceries, get back home, play it safe. And then when the coast is clear, you can get out there and do a bit more shopping. And that's what he did. He let his hands go big time when he had Ruiz very tentative. I think going into this fight with Usyk, I still think Usyk wins. Usyk is just really, he's on a whole nother level. But at the same time, AJ has the advantages. The size, the power, and the reach. If he boxes smart and doesn't get caught up in the hype in the crowd, AJ shouldn't have a problem winning that fight. It's do what you have to do to get your titles back. And again, the reason he has those advantages, because these guys are monsters, man. So, in my opinion, I think it makes, if we're going to start looking at these mammoths of men, these huge, giants of, in boxing, and say because of their size they have these advantages. If we're trying to take advantage away to even the playing field, okay, you gotta look at the advantage of the shorter guys. You gotta look at those advantages. The guys with the faster hands, the guys with the reflexes. Like when we start turning those stones over, we'll forever be looking and reaching and trying to figure out a way how to take a title from somebody and just basically give it to someone else. That's not right. So it's heavyweight boxing. If you don't want to be in there fighting someone who's 6'11", 7'5", 7'7", and some 8-foot tall guy, if he comes around, then don't box. But I don't think we should I don't think we should create another weight division. They tried it. It just didn't work. It's all wide open. After a certain weight, it's wide open. They created the bridge weight. I get it. But, right now it's wide open. And if you don't want to participate in that weight division, then cut weight and get down. If not, it is what it is. Get out of boxing. That's what I think. Because when we start doing that, then it affects everyone else. And if you're going to go to the heavyweight division, trying to, eradicate people's natural born advantages, well, then you got to start looking at other weights too. Because I think when a shorter guy like an Isaac Pitbull Cruz gets in there with a taller fighter, depending if he can impose his style of the fight, he has all the advantage because he's in close. So the larger guy is at a huge disadvantage. What are we gonna do? Say in these weight classes you have to be everybody the same height. We just gotta. I think we just need to not even think that way. Keep things the way they are, and I think things are good the way they are, man. In my opinion, but leave your 2 cents below. I think we can all agree that hey, man, there are advantages to being that height, especially if you can use it with your reach, but I don't think it's necessary to come back to having super heavyweights because it gets boring. I think it's nice to have a larger pool of fighters so they can mix it up. I do. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Please leave your comments. Please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Shout out to all the veterans. You guys keep safe. I'm in the breeze.